Hi, it's Alex Counts. I'm going to be talking about how nonprofit organizations can effectively use volunteers in this video and another one that I'll put out next week. When you talk to nonprofit organizations, what you hear over and over is we've got a great solution to a problem in society, but we don't have enough people to implement it. So go raise some more money so I can hire more people. But a lot of times they don't think about the fact that volunteers can be that human resource that they need to deliver their solution at a greater scale. In fact, volunteerism is a long-standing tradition in our society and many cultures around the world. Americans donate $200 billion worth of their time every year to nonprofits. Plus, those volunteers typically give more money to the nonprofits they volunteer for, and they serve as evangelists for them. Yet a lot of organizations miss out, don't think of volunteers to be force multipliers for the staff. In fact, only a quarter of Americans volunteer, though the ones that do, and that number is going down. The ones who do volunteer, though, are volunteering more time. The few organizations that really know how to use volunteers are getting more and more out of them every year. So what's going on here? First of all, I don't think it's that volunteers aren't helpful or productive. Rather, it's that most nonprofits don't know how to use them well. Some do very well, and those are the ones that get the biggest bang for the buck for the volunteers. Now, a lot of organizations, when they start up, it's an all-volunteer effort until they can raise the money to hire people. And that can be a chaotic time, but really also very intense and enjoyable, a lot of kind of creativity from volunteers. And yet when you start succeeding raising money, often what happens is volunteers get marginalized, get pushed to the side. And the staff say, leave it to the pros, leave it to us. Volunteers are difficult to manage. They don't follow through. They don't get jobs done right. In fact, the old adage, if you want a job done right, do it yourself. You hear a lot of staff effectively saying that, even if volunteers are offering to help. At that point in an organization, volunteers are usually said, the wealthy ones, put them on the board, have them meet a couple times a year, or volunteers are asked to fundraise, but only if the fundraising doesn't interfere with the fundraising the staff do, or do kind of make work, stuff envelopes, answer the phones, be a receptionist, even if their skills would allow them to do much more than that. There's a great article written by four people, two of whom I know well, Robert Grimm and Shannon Maynard, called The New Volunteer Workforce in the Stanford Social Innovation Review. And it talks about some of the things that nonprofits don't do that stymie their volunteer programs. So let me just go through them because it absolutely consists with my experience in Grameen Foundation, where we had a very active volunteer program where we didn't fall into some of these traps. So first of all, organizations don't match volunteer skills to the work that needs to be done. They just kind of randomly assign people to the next job, even if it doesn't match their skill set. They don't recognize volunteers in a real comprehensive way, in a meaningful way. They don't give them challenging work, because again, they think volunteers are not going to follow through, are not as skilled or motivated as they are, so they give them very unchallenging work. They don't measure the cumulative impact of volunteers, any one volunteer or a community of volunteers. And they don't train the volunteers properly, nor do they train the staff on how to use volunteers. So for lack of all that, it's no wonder that volunteer programs often are disappointing to everyone involved. In fact, a lot of people that volunteer one year, surveys show they don't volunteer the next year because they kind of have a disillusioning experience. So these are some of the reasons that a lot of organizations struggle to harness volunteers, to work alongside staff and bring their great solutions they have to societal problems to greater scale. And in my next video, I'm going to look at what are some of the success strategies, the organizations that do really well in this area, what do they do?